Welcome to the Authentic Change Podcast. I'm Mike Horn, your host, and this podcast is for leaders and coaches who need and want fresh perspectives on what it means to live and to lead authentically. You're a leader who wants to make a difference, but sometimes you feel stuck. You know there's more to life and to leadership than what you're currently experiencing. It can be tough to figure out how to grow as a leader. You might be reading all the blogs and books, but it still feels like you're not making progress. You might even be feeling like you're doing everything wrong. On Authentic Change with Mike Horn, we interview experts who share their insights on how to live and lead authentically. Our guests are trendsetters in building great leaders, teams, and organizations. We provide fresh perspectives on what it means to live with purpose and authenticity. Welcome to this episode of the Authentic Change Podcast.
Welcome to this episode of the Authentic Change Podcast with Mike Horn. I am joined in studio today with Todd Erickson. And I say joined with Todd Erickson because we've had a number of collaborations over the course of the years. And I know that those of you in our audience who are listening will find this work to be full of passion, full of purpose, and the energy that Todd brings to his work as a founder of Collaboration Arts is simply amazing. So, Todd, without any further ado, tell our audience about yourself and who you are and your organization, Collaboration Arts, which folks can find at collaborationarts.co.
Well, thanks, Mike, and an honor to be asked to join your podcast and to share today. Yes, Collaboration Arts. We're a creative consultancy for collaborative meetings, events, and networks. So I help diverse groups and communities think together and come to a shared understanding about the issues that are really important to them. And so sometimes this looks like, giving input to a plan, to, plans, strategic planning, visioning in communities. And sometimes it looks more like diverse networks working together over a long period of time on a more systemic issue. I've been in this community engagement, multi-stakeholder collaboration field for, I guess, over 25 years now. And yeah.
That's amazing. 25 years in this space of bringing diverse groups together. And I'm curious, Todd, because your work, you define it in terms of helping diverse groups. What is a diverse group? Let's just start there.
Well, that's a good question. So diverse groups are like a community. Community is made up of diverse groups. All sites, think of all the members of your community and how what that diversity brings. It can also look like when we're looking at more of a systemic issue, we want to represent all range of perspectives of folks. So when I'll just go back a little bit. When I got my master's degree in interdisciplinary art, I realized that the problems we face are complex and can't be solved by any one single discipline, school of thought, department, or individual. And that we need to find ways to bring these diverse perspectives together to contribute to solutions. So that diversity early on in my thinking, studying art, interdisciplinary art, it became clear to me that it's not just art that can be interdisciplinary, but all of the issues that we deal with would be benefited from a multidisciplinary perspective. And I've been on that path ever since of trying to bring different perspectives together to the table to collaborate and learn how to collaborate creatively.
It's amazing, and I certainly want to get to the connection between interdisciplinary arts and understanding that and how that informs or drove your passion for a lot of the multi-stakeholder work that you do. But getting back to this topic of diverse groups, Todd, is it possible that people from one organization, let's say a corporation, a team that is struggling with their issues, can that be a diverse group, or does it have to represent people from multiple organizations or multiple communities?
Oh, certainly. Inside of an organization, you've got lots of diversity, the diverse departments, this whole cross-departmental collaboration. In fact, a lot of my early work was focused inside organizations and bringing, organizational leaders and cross-functional teams together to collaborate and think together and to share and give input into planning and collaborate on their organizational issues.
So, as the founder of Collaboration Arts, you're helping people to make sense of complex issues in a meeting format. What are some examples of issues or topics that you work with clients of Collaboration Arts or partners of Collaboration Arts?
I've got two examples. So one would be more in a community civic space, and another would be on a more systemic problem face. Like I'll start with the community. With communities, I often work with communities on helping to get input into their strategic plan. Communities will often set a strategic plan and want to get input from the community on what are the important issues, and within those issue areas, what are the important things that we should focus on. So those are, community planning, strategic plans, economic development plans, those kinds of planning efforts are areas that I help with. And an example of a multi-stakeholder project I've worked on, the issue of land conservation. For over 12 years, I worked in the state of Illinois on a multi-stakeholder land conservation effort in partnership with the Institute for Conservation Leadership. There was a foundation in Illinois brought us into to launch and develop a collaboration across the state to help protect and preserve the vital lands of Illinois. It was called Vital Lands Illinois, the project. And over 12 years, we were able to really change the culture of conservation across the state and build a network that was much more collaborative and interdisciplinary in approach to not only conservation, but looking at the health of the community and the environment.
So an example of a project within an organization, it might be that a group is struggling with, what's our strategy? How do we achieve these goals over the next, period of time, 3 to 5 years? What's the rationale? What's the collaboration that's intent in that group?
Often I've gotten involved with organizations when they're they want to hold their senior leadership meetings, when it's important for senior leaders to get to come to alignment agreement about their strategies for the year or for the next 3 years. So that's an important point to get everyone on the same page, to make sure that everyone is aligned. And so in those settings, you're getting your top 300 leaders together for a couple of days of strategy sessions and thinking. And this what I bring to the table in those situations is an ability to tap into the thinking of the group in real time, so that you're able to present strategies, or and then get feedback immediately on what folks are thinking, or to be able to dive deep on what the critical issues are, and what's needed to focus on. And with it, feedback is prevalent in meetings today. And you can easily get qualitative and quantitative feedback. Some of the things that I've introduced early on into these kinds of more collaborative meetings was the ability to really get clarity around themes that emerge from large groups. So, how I do that, and what that looks like is really getting groups into small group dialogue. In order to pose a question to the group, a focused question to the group, such as what are the key issues? What are the challenges we're facing in this quarter, or that we'll be facing in the next 3 years? What are the challenges we're going to face in the next 3 years? So have 300 people talk about that at their tables in real time, and talk about the challenges. So what I bring to that is technology that allows you to capture those conversations. All those ideas get submitted in real time, and there's a team that's distilling out the key messages from across those conversations. So this ability to distill out, to rapidly make sense of all the ideas that are being discussed at the table, such that at the end of the conversation you can then present back. Here are the major themes, the challenges we're going to face in the next 3 years. And there are clear articulated statements of these challenges. So we've gone from asking the question to having everyone, all these diverse leaders discuss and share, and then be able to see what emerges in real time. And we can then discuss and then potentially prioritize. So what of these are the most important ideas? Yeah.
And it's great. I mean, that is the way that you help these diverse groups, I imagine, to weave and connect people and perspectives, but also to build this shared understanding that you want, an agreement. But how do you get people to take action from that? So it's great. You have a meeting for a couple of days. You've got diverse, perhaps a diverse group working together on a complex issue. They generate some ideas over a half day, a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, however long the time is allocated to it. But what helps people to take this bold action together to make differences in our communities and organizations?
When you engage this diversity of thought, opinion, the different departments, disciplines, the community, when you engage them and you really come to that shared understanding, then you've got the possibility of more buy. I hate to use the word buy-in, but you've got buy-in there from all the stakeholders that are going to be potentially implementing it. So that's a start. Is knowing that you've got that people were able to participate. What it takes to go from thought to action, or here's ideas to action, is leadership. It's like having leadership that's really that's there to listen and act. In communities, that's what that looks like is someone who's a mayor or a city manager who's committed to, acting on what, the input that they receive in an organization that looks like, leaders that are, willing to take the input and move forward with it. But they did, it. So I would sort of say, not all meetings are, a meeting where you want to, act on. Let me just say here, there are meetings where, you're just there to present, and it's not about collaboration. And then there are meetings that are, you want to take input, and that will inform your decision making. And then there's meetings where we're going to work together. So what I'm bringing up here is decision making rules, so that it's clear how decisions will be made, what kind of input that do we want here? Is this more informative, or or more collaborative decision?
And it's great. I mean, as you think about the diverse sets of experiences that people have, as you think about diverse ideas and opinions within a community or within an organization, all of these are strengths. There's no way to consider the diversity and breadth of our ideas and depth of our ideas not to have a stage or not to have a presence in our work. And among all of these different ideas, as we've experienced, it can often lead to polarization and to distrust. So what are some of the unique ways that collaboration arts and someone like you, bring to help this breakdown that can occur with, different, often hardened perspectives?
Yes. So we do live in a very polarized environment these days. And one of the ways to help people see beyond the divides is, this us, them, either or, is really bringing in the value of polarity management. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but Dr. Barry Johnson talked about the philosophy of opposites. And really, it's not either or. So helping organizations, communities to really see this a polarity, as a set of values that seem to be in opposition to each other, but really are actually interdependent, because we need both values over time to be successful. And so there's a way to help groups see, how, centralization, decentralization, or stability and change. It's like you need both. So helping them to see this, and then map out the upsides and the downsides of both of these, and then learn how to leverage the upsides. So one of the things we do is help with this kind of polarity management. And another, so this in these kinds of community conversations, we'll get to there's a lot of fear, a lot of community city managers, mayors are fearful these days of bringing large groups of the community together, because for fear of, you've seen these, videos of town hall meetings where it's just, people are, grandstanding and yelling, and, or they get to the mic and they have, their 3 minutes of rant, and then it's on to the next. So these serial monologues and random thoughts get expressed in the community meetings, and And then what that breeds really is just confusion, lack of clarity, and like you get to hear from the community, but it's not, there's no sense made. So the approach, the methodology that collaboration arts brings to the table to help to deal with these kind of polarized, highly emotional meetings is really to break them down and have you can engage hundreds of people either online or in person in a dialogue. So it's not about everyone getting their voice at a mic. It's about everyone getting their voice at the table. So we'll break groups down into small groups and ask a very focused question. And we'll often start with a question that's trying to get at something that they might agree on, like what do we love about our community, or what are some what do we love about our community? And there, everyone gets a chance to share. So at the table, you might have probably might have a facilitator. So all the tables would have someone who's there to manage the conversation essentially, and allow for everyone to speak. So everyone gets a chance to speak, and all those ideas are recorded in real time, on a iPad or some device, and sent to the what we call the theme team, and that team is reading all the responses and rapidly making sense of all the ideas that are emerging from the group. And at the end of the conversation, we can then present back the themes. Here's what we love about the community. And you start to build trust there and build, transparency, that we're all able to speak. Everyone has a voice and they're able to share, and we can see that the ideas are being captured. And what we might do in a first conversation like that is actually share all the ideas, everything that was submitted, so that we see everything's captured, and so that they get to know that their voice is being heard. We'll move on to then more conversations that are more focused on the objectives of the meeting. Like what. So getting, what are the things that you want to see changed in the community, something like that. So then it's more, again, you use the same process of dialogue and capturing the ideas, rapid sense making, and distillation of the key ideas and presenting them back for discussion. And doing cycles of this kind of discussion methodology, this really gains the trust of the community, because they see that they're being heard. And they may come with an idea, and they also are in dialogue. It's different than just coming and having your say. That what happens at the table in dialogue is a chance to really hear others, maybe people you haven't heard from. So your perspectives might shift in that. Hearing someone's authentic story, their experience might be like, oh, I never heard that before. So you're able to sort of begin to build trust. And one of the things that, to build trust is, for people to be heard and to have their story told. So breaking people down and having them able to have some more quality time at a table and discussion and dialogue, and to really be heard, helps them to trust the process, even if their ideas, don't make it to, the top, aren't the ones that get chosen. So one of the things you can do is, when you present the ideas that the group has just generated, you can then ask them, well, what are the most impactful ones? What are the ones that are going to have the most impact on our community? And allow people to vote, pick their top three. And so there you're getting, very divergent thinking and convergent thinking, all in a matter of, less than an hour, with hundreds of diverse voices. And that process. So then again, people tend to trust the process even when their ideas don't make it to the top, because they've seen that they had a voice, others had voices, and that we all had an authentic chance to express ourselves. And maybe my ideas didn't make it, but I've heard the other ideas and I see them, and I can see where mine fit in and why that may be. So
the topic of work with these multi-stakeholder networks or coalitions really has to begin with a collaborative intent. I suppose you could collaborate on implementation, maybe a city or a community is thinking about how to implement something in a way that furthers or advances its objectives. And there must be the intent of collaboration at the heart and soul of the work that you do. Is that right?
Well, yes, certainly on these, multi-stakeholder, complex problems. Yeah, these are problems that you can't solve alone, and that there's no real owner for them.
Yeah, so I suppose that a group that, or a community or an organization, they would be in touch with collaboration arts.co for launching new collaborations, designing and facilitating meetings and events, and helping to manage with their ongoing collaborative work. So that in all of this work, you're building trust, you're finding common ground, you're working on goals. Are there times, Todd, when it doesn't work? Are there examples or experiences when these good intents result in something else?
Yeah, well, collaboration isn't easy. And there are things that, that's where having someone to shepherd this along and to support them is critical. There's so many times that, people come together with the intent to collaborate, and there's no expectation for what people's roles are, or what the goal is. So it's important, and then who's going to fund it? How does this get funded? There's lots of things that where lots of reasons why collaborations fail.
So in many ways, the work that you're doing is helping people to clarify their objectives, their outcomes, and get them engaged in a creative process, so that they're engaged, that they find purpose and meaning in the work that the team, the community, the group is doing. And certainly, I suppose that supports an outcome of building trust, and it provides an opportunity to find areas of agreement, to avoid or perhaps to acknowledge this polarization that exists in certain spaces, in certain groups, and in certain communities. Is that right? Because collaboration is complicated.
Yeah, it is. And, it does take, starting out with, identifying a clear, goal or objective or outcome that we're working towards, so that we're all in agreement, like this is a problem. And even before bringing a group together on that, you want to really test out that problem. And there's methodologies for kind of figuring that out, what the issues, what's in the focus of what we're trying to do, and what's outside of the focus. So bringing groups together to understand the issue. We might go around and interview key folks that are involved in this issue, and kind of ask them, so, what's the big, what would it take to get us to this point? What gets in the way? What's working now that supports that? And and who needs to be involved? Who's involved now? So building a collaboration of true, authentic leaders who are actually involved in the issue and have a stake in it and need to figure out. And that there's a lot of collaboration across, in industry where there's problems that no one organization can figure out, and it would be better if we collaborate together on these. So these kind of cross-organizational collaborations on bigger systemic issues, where it's like, I can't, it would be much more efficient if we work together on this issue and each pool in some resources and agree on the problem, and then look for what are the shifts that are needed in order to tackle it, and then divide up how we want to experiment toward taking action on achieving the goal together and separately, and what do we each bring to the table on that.
So oftentimes in these collaborative events, I mean, you're really helping to create roadmaps. What's the roadmap for our action? How do we channel our energy? How do we funnel it in order to reach our goals and purpose? And I guess in some ways, you're also dealing with structure in these meetings, and who holds the questions, who holds the you refer to it as theming. So how does you're working not only on the complex issue of collaboration, but also on some difficult topics about choosing appropriate leadership, to finding the technology that supports the kind of collaboration that people want to do, and perhaps even how they judge their success or the metrics that they will use. So you work with people to do that. How do the approaches to those issues about managing ongoing collaboration, how do they arise? How do you see them in your work? How does your perspective early on as a multidisciplinary artist inform this?
Well, I think a lot of it goes back to my that initial interest in when I was doing my master's thesis, and the problems we face are complex, and we need to find ways to bring these diverse perspectives together. So I've been on this path of learning and growing on like, how do you bring diverse perspectives together? And early on, technology played a role in that, in helping people to think together and collaborate and come to a shared understanding. Over time, and come to a shared understanding. Over time, I realized, well, just coming to a shared understanding in a meeting isn't, solving the complex problem. That's just the beginning. And it really is there's a whole arc of, how to work with diverse groups over time, and to work on these. So a few of the, I just want to mention a few of my where I've learned about multi-stakeholder collaboration over time. One is through Community at Work. Sam Kainer, who wrote the book The Facilitator's Guide to Participatory Decision Making, has also been working on multi-stakeholder collaboration. So I've studied with Sam over the years, and learned about this whole architecture of multi-stakeholder collaboration. And another colleague and teacher and someone I've learned from is Russ Gaskin at Co-Creative Consulting. And Russ has really developed this model of collaborative innovation that it takes so many different disciplines and methodologies, and has really got this methodology over, crafted really well on how to do this work. So I want to just honor his work, and his his work is available. He trains, and he also, there's a lot of resources that he just gives away. And also my work with the Institute for Conservation Leadership, Diane Russell. She was my partner in the Vital Lands Illinois work, and I've learned a lot from her around managing these kinds of ongoing collaborative networks and what it takes to build that. So, going from this vision of, how do we do it, to a lifetime of putting it into action and just continuing to learn and grow and develop is how I got to, the collaboration arts method, or, offer, I guess. That's who I am.
And certainly, I mean, in your work, I mean, you've involved thousands of people in meetings for decision-making purposes, idea-generating purposes, for whatever the task was required by the demands of collaboration.
Yes. Much of my experiences has been in the collaborative meeting space. And that's where, a lot of my experience comes in these more collaborative events and meetings, and how to make those, very impactful. And the collaborative networks have come along in the last, few years, 4 or 5 years. No, I've been involved in those for half of my career too. So, yeah.
So you've really, I mean, in terms of just, examples around bridging divides in organizations. I mean, you're bringing art and technology together in a space that helps to inform or progress collaborative decision making. Is that right? Or
yeah, when we think about art and art, one of the great values I think art has is provides for us. One of the great values I think art provides for us is this ability to help us, make sense and make sense of our world. Artists bring this these new perspectives and help us to see things we can't, as individuals see. And so I think of my work in these kind of collaborative meetings as this idea of collaborative community sense making. That what we're doing is an art form in that we're collectively bringing our perspectives together and making sense of whatever topic we're addressing in the community. And so that's where I really came to this idea of collaboration arts. It's like, yes, we're about, making sense collaboratively. And that is a high art, an important art form, I think, in our time where we're so polarized and we've lost our ability to make sense as a, there's, with this polarization, it's like hard to, what's real, or what's the right news, but together we can come together and make sense together.
Well, I've often thought that one of the primary tasks of leadership is caring. I mean, to engage people in any sort of action, you have to care about an issue, you have to care about a problem, and then you have to do something about it. And certainly, this is a doing equation, right? Has this polarization that you've experienced or that you've talked about, does it affect the levels of care that people put out now, that leaders about caring for collaboration?
I think that leaders are fearful of collaboration because of the polarization, and they're reluctant to engage. And I've seen, literally, like, we're just going to limit things, and then that's that's just been a change since this polarization has grown, since the really it's this advent of the social media algorithms that are really kind of putting us amplifying the divide.
I only see what they think I want to see.
Yeah, I'll mention the Center for Humane Technology as an organization that's doing great work on raising this issue and how to deal with it. How to change the technologies, and advocating for policy and legislation on this, because the problems with social media are equal to cigarette tobacco, and it's like we need to do something. It's a community health issue.
Yes. Often our public squares become dangerous places in some formats, given certain programming by social media companies and organizations. Todd, just as we begin to wrap up, I mean, there are lots of reasons why people should get in touch with Collaboration Arts, again, at collaborationarts.co, around, just as we've discussed, launching new collaborations, designing, facilitating collaborative events, or to help manage collaborative action. I mean, those are at least three good reasons why our listeners and others would want to be in touch with you, the founder of Collaboration Arts, and again, at collaborationarts.co. Todd, as you begin to think about the next few years, what's on the horizon? What are some of the developments we might see in promoting collaboration using the methodologies and approaches that you've refined with your experiences over the last couple of decades?
Given the complexity of the problems that we're all facing on so many levels in organizations, and the poly crisis that we're all dealing with, we need these types of collaborative processes and tools in order to, we're not going to get out of these issues. We're not going to solve these issues or manage them, in silos or vacuums, or, we need to work together. And that's where I'm heartened, is that there are many people teaching and studying these kinds of collaborative methodologies now. There's this is being taught more in universities, and so I'm heartened by the younger generation that's learning these tools, because they're living it. They're growing up in crisis and see the need for collaboration, and are being able to access these kinds of programs where they can learn collaborative methodologies. I've kind of grown, have seen them evolve, from the inside of my career. It's like, See, so now I think that they're catching on, and that people are refining them, and there are networks of practitioners that are growing, and so I'm heartened by that, because there's certainly the need. There's no shortage of complex problems.
That's great, Todd. It's really been an honor and a delight for me to have you as a guest on Authentic Change, and to talk about issues that are at the heart of our work in people and culture and organizations, and to think about it from the unique lens of collaboration. Todd, if our listeners or others wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
I think the best way would be to go to my website, collaborationarts.co, and there's a contact button there. Just give me a contact. Give me fill out that, and I'll be happy to get in touch with you. I also want to say that I often partner with other consultants on these projects. A lot of these projects are complex, and it takes a team to bring them together. So am looking for partners in taking these issues on. And I've been, my whole career, I've partnered with lots of different other consultants and organizations. So contact me if you're interested in just sharing and talking and learning together.
So you can do that by using the contact me button or link or form at collaborationarts.co. And, for everyone to benefit from Todd's decades of experience at the intersection of collaborative technologies and organization development, this is a person who has helped thousands of people in thousands of meetings across government, corporate, nonprofit, and community sectors. And he brings to us the mindset of creating possibilities. Todd's a weaver, a connector, and always listening for what the next right question is. And I think for those of you who are interested in pursuing ideas or work in this area, Todd Erickson and the team at Collaborative Arts, which you can find at collaborativearts.co, are just unique and special and legendary in the field of creating collaboration with diverse groups of people. Todd, I'll give you the last word if you'd like to say anything or leave our audience with any thoughts about the topics we've been discussing around helping diverse groups and communities think together to come to shared understandings that are important.
I just want to thank you, Mike, for the opportunity, for getting to share my experience and ideas with this group. And I look forward to anyone who wants to talk and get into a conversation about any of these issues. I welcome that.
That's great, Todd. Thank you for being so gracious with your time and your energy, and for inviting our audience and others to be in touch with you and to be in contact with you at collaborationarts.co. Once again, everyone, Todd, thank you so much. And until the next episode of the Authentic Change podcast with Mike Horn, stay well.
Thank you for listening to the Authentic Change podcast. I'm delighted that you've tuned in to listen. Please visit the show notes for links to topics discussed in today's podcast. To download a free ebook on authentic change and leadership and to subscribe to my newsletter, please visit mike-horn.com. Once again, mike-horne.com, mike-horn.com. Once again, thank you for listening to the Authentic Change podcast.